a couple of you guys have been saying, man, these videos have been getting really cool. I wanted to do a shameless plug for my other channel, which has the Daily Awesome Podcast. There's the TSL Podcast, and that's for dating, sex, relationships, all that sort of good stuff on this channel. And then there's the Daily Awesome channel, and that has everything on men's development, which you're gonna love. So go there now, watch a bunch of other cool videos, and let's get to this hashtag #MeToo and all the other crazy stuff involved in it.
Shall we begin? Let's begin.
What's up, TSL Podcast? Steve Mayeda here. We're in San Antonio, Texas, on a little walk before our Saturday call. Super awesome. So we have a TSL call every Saturday, and it's one of the best parts of the week. But I wanted to make this video, which has kind of a little bit of a backstory. So yesterday, Nick Sparks, you know who he is? You should. He's an amazing dating coach, relationships coach. He's moving into some cool stuff in his life, but he said he wanted to start training some jiu-jitsu. So we went to 10th Planet Austin, and he showed me this piece that he was working on, a little article about METOO. And really short, but one thing about Nick, and one thing about this whole movement that we're talking about with METOO, is we're not getting to what's important about the situation. And we're talking a lot about oppression, objectification, and so on, and it's not good. You know, nobody should feel that way. Sex, socializing, your use of your body, your beauty, the best parts about yourself, the parts which make a relationship, none of those should ever be objectified. We get that. I'm not having that argument, and perhaps we can on another discussion. But the one thing that Nick was talking about was how we were objectifying each other. It was almost as if, and this is really how it's going, that in order for women to have a voice, they objectify men. They objectify their celebrity, they call them out, all these things, and you know, that does need to happen. But what's the goal that we're looking for in all of this? What is that? And that's the discussion that we're not having, and that's the discussion that we talk a lot about at TSL. How can men and women start to have sex and connect? Because remember, this isn't about power. This isn't about getting better than one another. This isn't about sex feeling that finally they've won. You know, they become more of a woman, more of a man, just because they're more powerful than men or women. In fact, we take away from the greatest qualities of femininity when they try and when women try and mimic masculinity. We take away from the greatest qualities of masculinity when men, because they're afraid of being sexual, want to mimic femininity. And see, we need to start rewarding masculinity. We need to start understanding that in order to be a man, in order to have your masculinity be fulfilled, you need to allow the feminine to be feminine. In order for a woman to be fulfilled with her femininity, to be appreciated for it, she must allow the masculine to be masculine. And we're not allowing this. And here's part of the big catch-22 of this. Because we're so afraid of being sexual, because we're so afraid of not doing something right or not doing something in a way that's effective, we start jumping to conclusions. You know, when we look at the Aziz Ansari thing, we look at Louis C.K., we look at Kevin Spacey, we see examples of men who have not learned how to talk to women. We see examples of men who are trying to, well, in Kevin Spacey's case, other men that are trying to use power, that are trying to use celebrity, that are trying to use forms of social success in order for us to be sexual. And we don't see men or women using their selves to be sexual. We see them using a rule book. We see them using social norms. We see them using other people's sexuality. For instance, if we're trying to be sexual, we say, oh, well, you know, what did Oprah say? Or what did Cosmo say? Or what did the PUA industry say? What did the red pill faction of society say? What did all these things say in order for me to be a man or a woman? And so few of us are able to show ourselves. So few of us have had the discussion of what sexuality is and how good it is, how beautiful it can be. And so we jump to these conclusions where we call women up to our hotel room, jerking off, answering the door in that way or whatever it is. We call people over and we escalate to sex using force, using power, using social oppression. I mean, look at the Harvey Weinstein scenario. We do these things because men and women don't know how to have sex. They don't have the outlets of seeing that seduction can be good. The more that we see seduction or sex as a taboo, the more we see it as something that if we need to do it the ways that we want it, the ways that we feel it in our body, we have to be some sort of social misfit, somebody who does it in a way that has to break the rules, when the rules that we put in place around sex are what cause it so much pain and so much discomfort. And let's think about this, because part of the argument that, a lot of pickup, a lot of the modern men's rights stuff talks about is, well, women are whores too. Women love sex just as much as men, if not more. This has always been said. But the thing is that just because that's there, it doesn't mean that she's also a woman, that there's other parts of her that want respect. And so a sexual man, this is really a podcast for men, needs to learn the latitude of femininity. Part of you going from boy to man is that you realize that women, they do have this side of them. They do have the side of them that is wanting to have sex, wanting to be taken, wanting to be used, wanting to be fucked until they stayed fucked, as Henry Miller put it. But that doesn't mean that all of them feel that way. That doesn't mean that all of their sexuality has this feeling of a carnal vixen sort of mentality, but it also means that every woman has a little bit of that in her, and it needs to be found. So this is one of those things. This is one of those things that I think the discussion needs to be moved towards, is how do we have sex? How do we hit on people right? And the last thing that we need is a limiting of sexuality and a limiting of us talking to women, women talking to men, a limiting of how a woman can be sexual. Because when we try and repress a force of nature, it's more powerful than us. It's more powerful than our social structures. And we break it. And that's what we're seeing here. That's what we're seeing over and over again. The breaking of the sexual man, the breaking of the sexual woman, and no longer it being something about expression. In any case, Steve Mayeda signing out. TSL Podcast, people. Time to get to this call. Time to get to what we're all talking about. And making men better. And through that, making women, society, and people better. That is the sexual life. Ciao.